scene. Class was crass. The mastermind of this operation is Jason Levine. Class was crass. With the help of his scruffy buddy, 85 to the RGT. Class was crass.
Good evening, all you beautiful people, and welcome to the Glazer's Crass Gaming Podcast on this Revenge of the 5th May episode. I'm your host, Hey Jay. Joining me, as always, RGT to the 85.
Does it really make that Revenge of the 5th reference?
Well, I made the May to the May the 4th be with you reference yesterday. It's only appropriate.
Yeah. I don't really do Star Wars, so...
You don't really do anything post-2000.
I do video games.
Hardly.
What?
Retro games. You do retro games.
Not really.
Pre-2000. Did you ever like 90s pop music?
No, but I mean, I know it.
So you were never like you never jammed to Backstreet Boys or NSYNC?
No, Jason, I didn't. Most guys in middle school didn't really get down with that.
I don't know. I'm just saying, 3 years of talking to you, this is a question I've never asked you, and I didn't know.
I mean, I'm familiar with them. Like, I remember Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, 98 Degrees. No. Who's your favorite member of NSYNC?
I don't know them by name. Who's yours?
JC Chazé.
You actually know them by name?
Yeah, you got Justin Timberlake, JC Chazé, Joey Fatone, Lance Bass.
I don't even know if you're messing with me right now.
Chris Kirkpatrick. Fuck no, I'm not messing with you. That's their names.
So you've never like karaoke'd in the car with people to some 90s like or some Spice Girls, anything like that?
No.
I could see you jamming to Backstreet's Back.
I mean, I'll listen to New Kids. New Kids is pretty dope.
Oh man, no, they're old. They're so old.
They had some bangers though.
What were their hits? I remember my cousin was really big into it.
Yeah, and Hanging Tough, Step by Step.
Step by Step, that was the one, yeah.
The Right Stuff. There's a lot of good hits.
Stuff. What about Hanson? How'd you feel about that?
I thought they were chicks.
Same. especially the middle one.
The keyboardist. Like I thought maybe the guitarist. I was like, okay, he's just a feminine dude. And then the drummer you couldn't really tell because the drummer was, mad young. But the keyboardist, I was like, oh, okay. And then they were like, that's a dude, and I was like, oh, okay.
Different octave of okay.
Yeah.
So this is a 1 hour podcast. If this is your first time joining us, we're going to go over all of the... Hang on, I didn't even do a volume check. Are we all good here? My volume's good. Give me a sound check, Sean.
I mean, no one's complaining.
All right, you sound good. It's a 1 hour podcast where we talk about what we've been gaming over the past week. We also go over all of the headlines. Today, we're going to be focusing on the new Earthworm gym. Apparently, Sean has some things I don't know there that I'm curious to hear about. We're going to talk a little bit about Sonic movie and the internet actually having an influence on stuff and what that's all about. And then we're going to talk about Epic buying Psyonix and pretty much anything else that we feel like talking about. And then we wrap it all up with a 15-minute lightning round at the end of the show. That's where we take your topics, your questions, and we hash it out amongst each other. Yeah, so I finally fixed my ice problem, and now I can make martinis again. But I didn't do it right tonight, so it kind of tastes like ass.
Ice in Canada mean crystal meth as well, or no?
No. Is that a US thing?
Yeah, like if someone's an ice head, they're crystal meth head.
But what if you go to like the restaurant and you say water with ice? Do they put meth in your water?
I mean, they might. I don't know. I always ask for no ice in all my drinks.
Do you put a lemon in it?
No, I don't get water. I usually get a soda when I eat.
Yeah. Still, though, you switched to water recently.
Yeah, I mean, I'll drink water in my house, but I'm not gonna get water when I'm at a restaurant.
You're not about it. Why not? It's cheaper.
Did you ever watch Cat Williams stand-up comedy?
I have not.
You know the rapper DMX?
Yes, I'm aware of him.
He did a bit about him, and he was like, I was at a restaurant with DMX, and like he just talks the way he always talks. We were getting a drink order, and he was like, "Hey, yo, bitch, can I get some water with some lemon in it?" And I was like, "We are in a restaurant." It's very funny. I can't do it quite do it justice, but
yeah, it's hard to tell. Stand-up comedy has to be watched, not explained. All right, so let's get right into it. After a nice little 5-minute chat there, what have you been playing?
Sniper Elite V2 remastered edition on the Switch.
V2 is V3 out? Did they release those together?
No, 3 is coming. 3 is coming out later on the Switch. It's not really a series that I follow, but I played the first game a good bit on the original Xbox. So, so far it's pretty fun. I made a little video on it, talking about it. And then really I've just been messing around with my arcade stuff. Like I haven't really been playing much console stuff this week.
You kill Hitler in that game, don't you?
Yeah, they're all World War II games.
Cool. And what was the other thing you said?
My arcade stuff. No, RPG. It's remastered. So, I mean, it's similar. It's the same game. It also released on the PS3 and the Xbox 360. But they remastered it. It has all of the DLC packs from the previous game. And it has a couple other things in it I can't think of off the top of my head.
Matt's asking, what arcade is RGT going to buy next?
Really, I have all the ones that I want.
You have a racing game, though.
No, there's not a racing game. They don't make a racing game yet.
Okay.
I mean, I can make a custom one, but that's a lot of money.
Some racing.
Yeah, I'm hopeful that they'll eventually do some racing games. I mean, I don't see why they couldn't. It would probably have to be a more expensive unit like the Golden Tee one is. But I don't know. There's actually a Centipede at the Walmart down the road from me from like $150. And I've debated. See, the problem is if I get another one, I'll have to move the flat screen TV because then I'll have 4. And like that's fine. But then there'll be like a gap for like 2 more. And then I'll be like,
it's like a go
weird.
big or go home kind of thing.
Yeah. So I'm kind of waiting. Like I hope the next batch there's like at least 2 that I really want, and then I'll do it like I did with these and end up just buying them the same week.
You need some Daytona.
Yeah, that would be like they're saying NBA Jam, Turtles potentially.
That'd be great.
I've heard Simpsons, I've heard X-Men, like
are there any beat 'em ups right now?
The Final Fight one.
Right.
You get Final Fight, Ghosts and Goblins, Strider, and 1944. So it's actually the best cabinet in terms of game variety because you have 2 platformers, a shmup, and a beat 'em up.
Why are we talking about your arcades? Oh, yeah, there was a question about it. Simpsons would be awesome. I remember I went to so my brother, he's 6 years older than I. So when we did family vacation trips, I don't know why I said his age, it's non-relevant. But we'd pretty much hang out in the arcades of the hotels whenever we were traveling on a family trip. And I remember we went to Florida this one time, and there was an arcade, the Simpsons arcade was there. And we, like, a roll of quarters. Like, we just went, asked our parents for a roll of quarters, and we just hung out there all afternoon just trying to beat the Simpsons. I remember we made it to the clouds. I don't know how far that is in the game, but ran out of quarters, so never saw the end of that.
I mean, you could always just play it on MAME.
On what?
MAME, the arcade emulator.
Oh, I mean, I could if I really cared for. It's one of those things I need to get around to, along with the list of everything else.
See, the problem is if they do, because obviously The Simpsons 4-player, Ninja Turtles 4-player, X-Men 4-player. The problem is it makes sense on paper because I'm pretty sure you can use the same, because what they like to do with the arcade one-ups is if you can use the same button layout, they'll put more games on it because, you know, every, like the Mortal Kombat one, for instance, there's a run button on it, and you obviously only use that for Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. The run button acts as a block button in the other two games. But if you do something like a cab that has X-Men, Turtles, and Simpsons on it, which one gets the which one is the system modeled after? Which one are you going to use the graphics for? Like, that would be the hardest fucking choice in the world to me.
Wouldn't the licensing be an issue there, though, of putting those all together?
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of licensing issues, but like, there's images on the internet
A
of
lot of images on the internet.
prototype cabs that are like very hidden, but people have spotted them. I mean, it's just like NBA Jam. NBA Jam, I'm fully convinced that NBA Jam is legit because at CES 2019, in a hidden room, someone snapped a picture of an NBA Jam arcade one-up cab. How that's going to work with players is beyond me. Are they going to use modern players? Are they going to use the players from that time frame? Can they use the players from that time frame? So I have no freaking idea. But I mean, they seem to know what they're doing. They're obviously, well, to some degree, they're obviously, you know, doing well. There's improvements. The second batch of systems is arguably better than the first batch, you know, in terms of quality standpoint.
They definitely tapped into a market for sure. There's kind of this, like, you know, the last modern gen of consoles, I'd say we had kind of this retro renaissance, you know, when the NES, SNES, Sega Genesis, kind of that era was really going up, and everyone was kind of predicting the natural progression. The next would be the N64, the GameCube, PS2, PS1. But it seems like arcade is kind of going through a renaissance. I don't know if you agree with that statement or if it's just kind of all part of the same thing.
The thing, like, I don't know if you've seen my latest little creation video that I've made where I have like neon lights and shit and like a flashing arcade sign. For me, the whole appeal of arcade stuff is I didn't go to, you know, like some kids live down the block from an arcade. You know, if you lived in a city or some shit like that. The only times I went to the arcade was when I was at the mall, because there was an arcade at the mall. There was a putt-putt, well, mini golf. They call it putt-putt in North Carolina. There was a mini golf place that did like go-karts, mini golf, and had a big-ass arcade in there. And then just at random places. I played an arcade at a timeshare when my parents were like being roped into a timeshare. I played an arcade at Disney, at Epcot. I remember that. And then I played
You went
just
to
random.
Disney? I can't imagine a young RGT in Disney.
I mean, I was a kid.
How young?
Probably 10.
Were you happy?
I mean, yeah.
Really?
I think so. I remember we rented, for some fucking reason, my dad rented you remember the Mitsubishi Eclipse?
I remember the name, yeah.
It was like a fucking weird convertible thing, and the back seat of it was so fucking small, and like I was 10, maybe 11, and I was so cramped in that thing, and I was like, "Why did you rent this?" And he's like, "Shut up." It's a convertible.
Bitching even at the age of 10.
Yeah, I was always bitching. But yeah, like at random restaurants, you know, you'd go into a fast food joint and they'd have an arcade machine. So like for me, I never really got the full on sort of arcade experience that I feel like a lot of people got. So now that I'm able to do things, like I've been looking at so much random shit for the room now, and like I'm gonna get some neon. I'm gonna get an LED neon strip along the top of the along the ceiling, and then I'm actually thinking of, I see the one thing I want to do is something with the walls, and it's like, yeah, I could do posters, and yeah, like there's this paper, it's like craft paper or some shit that's sort of like wallpaper, but it doesn't actually stick onto the wall, like you just tape it on there and it looks like brick. And I thought that would be cool, so I don't know, it's just a way for me to make something that I never really got to experience as a kid.
Look at you,
just because of logistics.
Interior design. You got a little interior designer inside of you.
Nah, just for cool shit.
But you see, I think that's just a symptom of our generation. I don't remember having arcades either. Like I would play them in hotels mainly while traveling. I think really like the arcade, the joint you go to and there's just arcades was really something that lived and died in the 80s. Like I don't even remember being able to find those in the 90s.
What, arcades?
Arcades, yeah, they were either in bars or in hotels. Like
no, arcades saw their peak in the early to mid 90s with fighting games, Daytona USA, racing games. Like that's when well, that was also an interesting time because arcades did stuff that home consoles couldn't do.
Okay,
and
yes.
Once the technology caught up, then arcades died because it was like, you know, what's the point? Like, yes, you could have interesting experiences in the arcade, and you're sort of seeing that again with, you know, like the Halo arcade machine and shit. Mm-hmm. But really, like, that was the heyday of it. You saw Virtua Fighter, and you're like, my fucking Sega Genesis can't do this shit. Like, you know, my you know, with Tekken, you could get a port of the game, and it was okay. It wasn't as good as the arcade version, though. Then as systems got stronger, I think the Dreamcast was pretty much the nail in the arcade coffins.
At least for North America. If you go to Japan, it's still really healthy there. Like you can still walk into a multi-story arcade hall where every floor is kind of like a different genre of arcades. At least when I was there 5 or so years ago, like it's just a whole different world. Like arcades are still very much alive there. I'm pretty sure that they still are. Anyways, back to what we've been playing. Myself, I finished Katana Zero last week, and you didn't finish it, right?
No, I haven't. I need to finish. Maybe I'll finish it tonight.
It's weird. It's really weird.
That's what I hear.
It's not.
But I like
it's not a satisfying end at all, and that's about as much spoilers as I'm going to get into. But you know, you should finish it to get your own take on it. I'd love to see what you think about it. And then it's a new Fortnite season this week. So I'm actually now trying to like do all the challenges because I didn't play it at all for the season. So I'm trying to like unlock all these like secret skins and stuff before Thursday when everything resets. Oh, and there was like a live event yesterday too. So I don't know if you've been in Fortnite this season, but there's a volcano.
Yeah, and no, I heard about it. I don't know how I heard about this, but I did hear about it.
The volcano blew up, so I got to see that live. That was pretty cool.
Didn't it wipe out Tilted Towers?
Yeah, Tilted Towers and Retail Row. So you saw like a big like chunk of lava come out of the volcano and just like no more Tilted Towers, which was the #1 drop point I think in that game for like since season 1. I don't know. I just got involved into this like since season 7. So yeah, that's pretty much all I've had the time to do. But let's talk about our headlines. Oh, that sucks. Elizabeth, the lobby didn't work for her in the event. Oh, actually, there's oh shit, it's ending tonight. I think there's a really cool Avengers mode, which I'm sure you didn't try either, right?
I haven't played Fortnite in months.
Okay, so the Avengers mode is pretty cool because it's you're either on the Avengers side or like the Thanos team. On the Thanos team, you have to collect the 6 stones that just drop across the map, and you play as the I can't pronounce the name, and I won't even try because you guys are just gonna laugh at me. But you get 2 guns. You get like a pew pew gun and a boom boom gun, pretty much. One that makes a big boom, the other one makes pew pew. And then the Avengers, you get the Captain America shield that you can pretty much chuck, and it like hones in on people. You get the Iron Man repulsors, so you can just like fly and shoot people. And actually, you don't even know the Avengers because you haven't even watched the movies, do you? Like the individuals.
I mean, I know basically. I know Captain America is.
So hard to get excited with you. And then you get Thor's axe, which lets you either throw it or like you can jump and attack.
I know who Thor is. I know.
Yes,
I know
one
the
of John. Pew pew gun
characters.
versus boom boom gun.
They've been in other video games.
Which one? Oh yeah, you
well,
play Infinity. Not Infinity. What's that game? Ultimate Alliance.
Yeah, and you had. I mean, I'm talking. There was a Captain America game on the Super Nintendo.
Was there?
It was a beat 'em up. You had Marvel War of the Gems as well.
Wait. See, I wasn't into Marvel at all. Like, I'm gonna come out and say it. I did not follow the Marvel comics. I was only pretty much into Spider-Man in the 90s with the cartoons. So the Marvel Cinematic Universe is what's introducing me to a lot of these characters.
Yeah, like the characters have been around forever.
Right. So what are these 16-bit games? Because I wouldn't have known about them other than the X-Men games.
Well, there's Marvel War of the Gems. There's I don't remember the name. It was called Captain America, and it had like a subtitle. And they were all just fucking beat 'em up games. But I mean, you had Justice League Task Force,
that's
which was a fighting game.
Oh, here it is. Captain America and the Avengers. Wow.
Yeah, there you go. And who?
And the Avengers.
Say it again.
And the Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that's what I've been playing. There you go. Rax had it. So what's our first topic? Earthworm Jim. So anyone who watched Hey J News, which is not you, I went off on a rant because I was arguing that. Okay, backstory. Let's hear the backstory. It's an exclusive being developed for the Intellivision Amico. Is that what it's called?
Amico, yes.
Which is a stupid console, in my opinion. What do these two have to do together? It's a really shitty like control scheme. It's literally a phone. It looks like an iPod with buttons on the side. But you're saying that there was like a developer stream yesterday that I missed.
Keep going. Keep your energy going.
Okay.
You've got more to say. I can feel it.
I'm holding back because I know you're holding something above me because you watched the developer talk yesterday and I don't know what they said there, and you said that they explain more of the controls. Okay. So let me finish. Intellivision Miko, it's coming out. It's this stupid retro console about like a 40-year-old console nobody here played, maybe like 5 of you. It's going to cost $150 so that you can play some really, really old games from the Intellivision days, and it has Earthworm Jim that has nothing to do with this system. Okay, go ahead, destroy me.
O ye of little faith, O ye of little knowledge. First off, it's not playing old games. All the games that are going to be on the system are going to be remastered versions of games. So my biggest problem with the system, well, one of my biggest problems was the fact that when they did their little trailer, because there's more to it than that. They actually showed several franchises that I had completely forgotten about. Toe Jam and Earl, it will also be on the Intellivision Amico, a new one. Okay,
well, this doesn't make sense because none of these games were on this thing. So what's the point of this device?
It's not. By that logic, then I guess we shouldn't have any games as console exclusives. Let's get rid of console exclusives. Let's get rid of all the console exclusives. We'll have one dedicated device, and then fuck. First off, having Earthworm Jim as a console exclusive is brilliant. It's brilliant
This thing makes me sick looking at it.
Because you are tapping into directly your market, the market you want to get. Is Earthworm Jim enough alone to sell the system? No.
Okay.
The system, The system, I think, it's still in prototype. Like, I don't think that design is necessarily indicative of the final product. The thing of it is that yes, the controller does look stupid, like an Intellivision controller, where you have a circle on the bottom.
I got the image up on the screen.
No, once again, that's just the concept. But, you know, it's got a circle on the bottom. It has a touch screen with gyroscope controls and rumble feedback, and then you have the buttons on the side. But they said yesterday, specifically at the event, because it was a live event, they said that you're not going to play the game like a tapping touchscreen. They have it all worked out, and it'll make sense. They're just not talking about it yet.
Okay. Let's take a step back. Who is this console for? Why does it exist?
They think there's a market for it.
A market for a new console or a market for a Renaissance console? Like, is this a retro console or is this a new console?
It's a console with retro in mind. When you look at the games, do you know the prices of the games?
I heard they're like $3 or something.
$3 to $8. There will be some physical of bigger games as well. All games on there will be exclusive to the console.
You seem on board with this thing, which surprises me.
To some degree, I am, because I think the one thing that it has going for it is they're going in balls deep. Like, Tommy Tallarico is going in balls deep with this.
How much did he pay you?
He's not paying me anything. He's paying for all of these games to be Oh, everyone's saying your stream died.
Everything looks fine on my end. Encoder is processing and sending everything. YouTube says everything is healthy.
Let's wait.
Technology, I don't know what to do here.
Okay, it looks like people have to refresh. It crapped out for a second. So he's putting all of his money into this project to get the original development team of Earthworm Jim in the same room together with everyone, from the character designer, who evidently Nate from Direct Feed Games, not a big fan of him, to fucking David Perry, to get them all in a room together. You're obviously going balls deep into this thing. You obviously believe in it. And for that, I respect this project, and I'm interested in this project. Do I think it's going to be a massive success? No. Is Earthworm Jim enough? No. You obviously need more games. But the fact that they are looking at games like that, dead and buried, retro IPs that people with, somewhat of a expendable income would be interested in, plus, maybe your kids would like it too. I think it's worth a chance. It's worth a chance.
Okay, I respect the fact that you're respecting the effort going into this. That's fine.
Because most of the, you don't see that with a lot of these consoles.
No, that's fair. Well, I think, there's the market is waking up to, you can't just screw things up. You're seeing Sega pull up their pants after what they did.
No crowdfunding either.
No crowdfunding, which is great. Now, let me ask you this, because you're more entrenched in the retro community than I am by a long shot, Mr. Retro Gaming Tube. Did anybody ever talk about, was the Intellivision ever a topic of conversation before this thing was even mentioned?
Yeah, like, people like the Intellivision. I just don't know anything about it because it was before my time.
What was so great about it? Didn't it do Pong? That was what it was known for?
No, the Intellivision was actually a pretty successful console.
Was it?
But it's more of just a name, though. It's a name to get something to click with people. I don't think that it's necessarily going to, it's not like the games are built on the foundation of the Intellivision. Yes, there's going to be Intellivision games on it that are remastered. There's going to be Atari games that are on it that are remastered, because there's that good old whore Atari just opening up its legs for anyone who will dump a seed in it. Think of how many fucking things. Think of how many things. Like, you know what? Looking at the Atari VCS and looking at the Intellivision Amico, it's like night and fucking day. Atari VCS crowdfunding, promises, specs. Yet they don't talk about actual games. They don't talk about what games you're going to see on the system. Whereas at least in television with the Amico, they're already talking about games. I can already sit here and tell you some of the games that are expected to be on here, and they're coming out with, interesting revisions of IPs.
I just don't like it because now it takes us back to an age where, like,
I mean, there's things to not like about the console. The fact that there's no M-rated titles on the console, the fact that there's not really going to be any 3D games on the console. Like, you're obviously pigeonholing yourself very, very much. However, in the same breath, could there be a market for it? Who knows? It just sort of depends. There's a lot of passion behind it, and it seems like there's enough creative people to sort of make it work. However, how much it can work is sort of dictated by how much market research they're doing and how much of a need. Because, when you come out with a product, the whole point of it is there has to be a need for the product. Is there a need for this product? No. Like, a lot of people want this game on the PS4, on the Xbox One, on the Switch, with that being Earthworm Jim. And I get it, but you have to have exclusives in order to make your console worth a damn in 2019.
In any age, you need to have exclusives to sell your hardware. And I guess what frustrates me is the fact that in 2019, we're seeing a strategy to sell hardware when hardware is not the future. Like, you're already seeing the big players abandon hardware. Xbox is they don't know what to do with hardware aside.
No, that's a stupid. No. Now you're just talking out your fucking ass.
Okay, so what is this Intellivision ever going to be able to do AAA level games, or are we just going to see exclusive retro games that are just going to sell 10,000 units?
Exclusive, Jason. The top priced game is $8 fucking.
It just seems so silly to me that why would I spend $150 for this thing that sits at home where I can buy $8 games and the occasional exclusive to my nostalgia when I can buy a Switch for, okay, fair, it's double the price, but I can carry that anywhere I want. I have this massive retro library on there. Again, $8 per game.
Because it's
and
apples
I can
and
get my
oranges.
AAA Zelda and Mario games.
It's two different markets, I feel. But Squirrel does make a good point. It's developed by people stuck in the past, basically.
Yes.
I do think you have to factor that in as well.
Yes.
You just want to be a fucking cheap ass and don't want to spend $150 on a console to play the new Earthworm Jim.
It's not just me. Before this Earthworm Jim news dropped, okay, what do we got? We got 40 people here. I bet you maybe less than 10%, so that's 4 people, probably even knew about the Intellivision Amico. Now, all of us know about it because of Earthworm Jim. And how many of us are going to drop $158 to play freaking Earthworm Jim?
I mean, but see, you just that's marketing 101.
Well, I'm not spending my money.
It went from something that nobody fucking knew about to something everyone was talking about. Whether they're talking good, whether they're talking bad, it doesn't matter. The console's not coming out till 2020 anyways.
Okay.
They have a long time to show you other products that are, going to be other games and stuff that are going to be involved in this.
Okay, but
so
the attention you're saying is like someone shat behind my couch. I'm like, all of a sudden, I'm like, what is that smell? Oh, you shat behind my couch. Like, it's not good attention. It's annoying. It's like, why'd you do that?
How is it not good attention? How is it not good attention? Nobody is saying, the worst thing people are saying is I want this on other platforms,
yes.
Which in theory means you want the fucking game, which in theory is somewhat giving you an incentive to learn more about this console that's not coming out until 2020.
Okay, so there's a bigger underlying conversation here that I haven't fully elaborated yet in my own mind, so I didn't really want to bring it up. But the whole exclusivity thing is one thing, but we're seeing the gaming industry doing something that the video industry is doing with streaming platforms. So, you've got the Netflix, Disney Plus, all that. What they're doing right now, they're scrambling for exclusives. And what you end up doing is the consumer ends up paying for 20 subscription services because they want to watch all their show. You end up with your Amazon Prime, blah, blah, blah. on gaming, that's what it's kind of going to with exclusives. And now I know you're going to say, well, it's always been the case. But the fact is the exclusives was to draw you to the platform. But previous to this generation, every platform had unique features for the consumer.
No, it didn't. What was the unique feature of the Super Nintendo versus the Sega Genesis?
Sega Genesis had blast processing.
That was,
And a
which
better
was just a
sound
marketing term.
And a better sound chip.
That's debatable. What was the difference between
And a different control scheme.
The PS2 and the Xbox? What was the difference? That's negligible. The whole console differentiating thing literally did not start until the Wii. Literally did not start until the Wii.
I mean, the controllers were pretty important. I did not like the Xbox, the original Xbox's controllers. That was one thing that
The Duke?
Yeah, the Duke. I didn't want to play with that.
Yeah, nobody liked the Duke, but still, you could buy a different controller.
But so I don't have much experience with the original Xbox, but didn't it have like a bunch of like MP3 library features and stuff? Like it had different features that the PS2 and definitely the GameCube didn't have. The GameCube couldn't play DVDs. The Xbox and the PS2 could.
And which was the best-selling system out of that generation?
PS2.
Why is that?
Because it served as a DVD player. It had the biggest library of games.
And then stop. It served as a cheap DVD player.
Yeah.
At the time, it was cheaper than your standard DVD player. So you got a bonus. You got to remember, that thing was so rushed, they came out with those fucking blue discs on there.
On what? On the PlayStation?
Yeah, they had blue disc games, and they would fucking burn out like it was like just for like the first few months.
Blue discs. I don't know what you're talking
The
about.
bottom of the disc was blue instead of a mirror reflection. It was a blue mirror reflection.
And these were PS2 games?
Yes, and they were fucking dog shit.
I didn't know that.
At the end of the day, you can have features, you can have this, you can have that, you can have the other. If features were truly indicative of what systems sell, then the Wii U would have been a great system seller. Then, because that had all the fucking features in the world. It had features you didn't even know you fucking wanted. It had TV, Nintendo TV, like
features you
come
didn't know
on,
you
man.
wanted, and the competition, it forced the competition to adapt. And you saw the PS Move, and then you saw the Kinect, and you still see the PS Move to this day with PSVR. It all builds itself. Anyways, okay, let's say the Amico is a great idea. Everybody's on board.
I don't think it's a great idea.
Okay, let's just assume there's a market for it.
I don't even know if there's a market
Justify the
for
controller to me. Who's playing with an iPod like that? Why couldn't they give a freaking controller if they weren't directly speaking to the audience of people who were playing with a paddle 30 years ago?
I don't know. I mean, they obviously are trying to speak to those people.
Right. But
hence the name of it.
I know. It makes no sense. Anyways. Okay, yeah, so that's the worst thing. So let's say I was okay with it. Let's say it came here for free and I could play Earthworm Jim. I would never want to play it with a freaking square paddle doing this with my, like, run right, run left. Boop, boop,
I don't think it's fair to write off the control scheme until you actually see it, though. Until it's confirmed. You're just assuming things.
Well, I'm saying we have 40 years to have refined the controller, and we've all kind of come to this. I could throw a controller. There's a Wii U controller. There's a PlayStation. Like they all have the very basic shape and outline. I don't think we need.
Well, I'm surprised that they don't have all different features.
Okay. Sonic movie. What do you think about the Sonic movie?
Fuck that thing.
You don't even watch movies in theaters, anyways.
It just looked. I mean, that would be something maybe I would go see.
What? You would go see Sonic in theaters?
Sure.
What is the last movie you saw in theaters?
Terminator 3.
Wow. So you only go see shitty movies in theaters.
Terminator 3 was a good movie. I don't know why people shit on it. I thought it was good. Salvation was crap, but no, I just it's very hypocritical how everyone went from this movie looks like, or a majority of people went from this looks like ass to, oh, now it's changing, so that's good. Oh, wait, poor animators. Let's all feel bad for the animators. Let's all feel bad for the people involved in the project. Let's all feel bad for the director for poo-pooing on his idea. And it's like, and they wanted to bring up things like Sekiro and shit like that. And the problem is, a game like Sekiro doesn't have a lineage. It doesn't have a history. It doesn't have source material. Okay, it's a brand new fucking game.
Right.
If you want to expand beyond that, Sonic the Hedgehog has never fucking looked like that thing that was in the movie. Yes, Sonic has changed over the years. If you look at Sonic from Sonic 1 on the Genesis to Sonic from Sonic Boom or Sonic Forces, sure, he looks different, but it's still the core thing. I bet you're right, Squirrel Emperor. Still, the core thing, same company, Interplay. The core thing of it was exactly the same. It's, you know, you looked at Sonic, though you had the progressive commercial. I just want this same energy. I want to see all these people that were poo-pooing and saying, oh, these poor animators getting put in crunch time. First and fucking foremost, animators have a guild, which is a union for them, so that, you know, if they do end up having to work more, they get paid. Does video gaming have a guild? Does video gaming have a union for these companies?
Not yet.
They do not. So, in the same fucking breath, the same day we got the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, we also got Bloodstained, getting a whole new graphical overhaul. Yeah. Correct?
Correct.
And where were those people? And that game comes out in June, mind you. Where were those people emitting that same energy for Boogerman? You're so right. And oh god, I love it. Where were those people emitting that same? Nobody fucking said a single thing about those people that are developing Bloodstain. Why is that? Why is that, Jason? Why did nobody say anything about those?
Because nobody noticed Bloodstain Ritual. That is playing to a base of thousands versus Sonic, which is playing to a base of millions.
So you were admitting that people, but it's a movie based on a video game. If the video game did not exist, then the movie would not exist. Right. So you're admitting that people use this to push a narrative to get those little precious hearts, those little precious retweets, those little precious brownie points, and looking
you
like
are just as guilty of stirring the pot for those retweets.
But I do it on things that actually make sense. I do it on things that actually makes sense, that you can prove, at least to some degree. Everyone is under this assumption that and that's a whole nother thing, is that this trailer that came out, Dreamcast guy already knew about it months ago, and he told me about it, and I was like, okay, yeah, fuck, Gangster's Paradise, yeah, okay, they're really gonna have Gangster's fucking Paradise in this trailer, and then they had Gangster's Paradise in this trailer, so he knew about this months ago. People are like, oh, well, you know, they should have done reaction. You know, the internet's ruining this movie. Yeah, because God forbid potential consumers decide to say, hey, you know what, this kind of looks like shit, and I probably won't go see it. God forbid. You know, it's not like there's things like test groups or focus groups that could have done this before emitting it onto the internet. No. Those things do not exist, obviously, in the world of major motion pictures, because Paramount, that's not a major motion picture studio. And they reply literally a day later. That they're changing things after one day. How many times have you seen something like that happen?
What are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting a lot of different things. There are many layers to this onion that you have to peel. First off, people assuming that these animators are going to be put into these like essential work camps to fix the movie, Boulder Dash. Until someone comes out and says something to make you feel that way, you should not virtue signal that way. And I don't care if you have a friend who's an animator at some rinky-dink, studio who got worked over. The fact is, this is a major motion picture studio. The fact is, Paramount is involved in the Animators Guild, which is the union that protects animators. So to say things like this and to stir up this narrative is absolutely ridiculous. Gotcha. Especially, and you know what? It's fucking, if anything, fucking disrespectful to the game developers who are doing 100-hour work weeks at Epic and with supposedly at NetherRealm with Mortal Kombat 11, because you're downplaying their significance when you actually have proof of it and you actually have people coming out and talking about it versus a hypothetical situation. Second, I feel like Paramount knew that this Sonic design looked like shit, and they thought, you know what, maybe if we release this trailer, people are going to talk about the movie. Yeah. And maybe this trailer isn't necessarily indicative of what the movie actually is going to be. Because if you're going to have a turnaround of just a few months, there are quite a few things to peel back on that onion. Yep. So either you're literally going to redo the character and just drop him in, and somehow it's going to work with, because I actually asked this last night on the Spawncast, because I'm not familiar with animation and stuff like that. Could they have just made the character look better and thrown him in the movie, done his facial animations and things like that? It seems like the consensus was, to some degree, maybe. The whole thing is based on height, though, as all of these scenes have already been filmed, obviously. So when you're interacting with this CGI character, you're looking at a certain height point. But I feel like that could be circumvented. You could just, I don't think the initial shots, he looked stupid as hell. Like, it looked like he looked tall.
Yeah, it looked like a human in a bodysuit.
Exactly. And then when you actually saw him in the buddy cop setting, it looked like an actual figure, but just with these elongated legs and weird fur and strange hands. But the other thing is I want to say to the people who said, well, this is a kid's movie. This is a kid's movie. Man, you're just going all over the place with this. Because, yes, kids are heavily invested in Sonic the fucking Hedgehog in 2019. No, Sonic didn't have his peak in the 90s in terms of sales, in terms of notoriety, in terms of cartoon shows, in terms of theatrical animated movies. No. I just made that up in my fucking head. This is peak Sonic the Hedgehog in 2019. Kids absolutely fucking love Jim Carrey. Let me tell you, every time I go see my cousin's kids, they're always like, when's that new Jim Carrey movie coming out? I remember watching him in Living Color, and then he was in The Mask and Ace Ventura. When's that new Jim Carrey movie? Oh, no, wait, I'm sorry. That happened in the late 80s to early 90s. But, one thing is for goddamn sure, Jason. Yep. The kids love Coolio.
They do.
They love Coolio. I can't tell you how many times I'm in the car with children that I don't know. Like, I just pick them up from school and I'm like, hey, do you need a ride home? And they're like, are you listening to Coolio? And I'm like, yeah, but you probably shouldn't get in the car with strangers. And they're like, no, mom said it's cool if it's Coolio. We can ride with you. Fuck off. This trailer was for children. Get the fuck out of here.
You've got a 7-layer cake of feedback there. So let's peel those layers a little bit. I agree with you with the whole virtue signaling. It's a very knee-jerk reaction to people just being like, wait a minute, if he's saying that they're going to change it. And I think it's also shocking for people because we have 20 years of game adaptation films that suck, and never once did anyone tease the film and everyone went, this looks like shit. Not once did a movie studio goes, we hear you, we're going to change it. So I think that kind of caught people off guard that, wow, they're listening to us. But I do agree with you. I think they tested the waters with the leak back in December. And
yeah, because it's been months.
Because that made a lot of noise. It made just about as much noise as the trailer did. So they've had I think that like 5 months ago, they're like, holy shit, we need to fix this. This is not going to fly. But maybe the trailer was already done, or maybe, I don't know, maybe just because like they're not dropping a trailer as soon as it's done. It's all part of the whole marketing plan. So I agree with you that they probably, if that leak happened and they got the feedback, it kind of gave them an opportunity to test the waters there. But maybe they're like, well, maybe in motion people won't. I don't know what they were thinking. Maybe like they're saying, let's see what the trailer does, but let's be prepared as a backup plan. Actually, that's probably the more realistic option. They prepared a plan B, and that's what allowed the director, who doesn't hold all of the money bag, the director come out and say a day later, we're going to change it, because that means that there was a whole plan in place. They were prepared. They just wanted to test the waters. Now, when it comes to animation, I have a very minor understanding of animation from how to do it. Actual animation comes down to algorithms. The model, the actual model, that's that can be redone by a team. How much work that is into like reintegrating into the animation and adjusting, I don't know, but I don't think it's necessarily as crazy as some people might think.
Right, because to me it's all computer based, correct? It's not like how it was in the 1940s when the Animation Guild was first created because of harsh work conditions at Disney, where everyone was doing everything by hand. This of course. So you probably sketch things on a tablet like device that connects into your computer, so on and so forth, to throw around ideas.
Yeah.
But I just that whole thing, honestly, like, I thought the movie looked like ass, but if they didn't change it, it's not like
it looks like a B movie.
It looks like a B movie, but it looks like a B movie, but it feels like they wanted it to be more.
Does it though? Because it really feels like a cheap '90s movie, down to the comedy, down to like you got classic Jim Carrey here. We haven't seen this Jim Carrey in a long time.
Well, it's for the kids. What are you talking about?
Okay, I agree with you. It's not for the kids. It's for us. It's legit for us.
Like, he literally was playing Ace Ventura on that scene.
Yes. Wow. Okay, so we went a lot. So I think we're on the same page on everything. What do people think? We'll get back to that in the lightning round. Actually, we are in the lightning round. We're already in the last 10 minutes. And shit, Game of Thrones starts in 10 minutes. We got to get through this quick. I did want to talk about Epic buying Psyonix, though, but you don't have much of an opinion there.
I really don't.
So I've already...
Didn't Ace Ventura have a cartoon? I feel like there was an Ace Ventura, and it wasn't voiced by Jim Carrey.
No, they couldn't have afforded that. Ace Ventura cartoon. I'm surprised I didn't... There was. There was. It had 3 seasons, 41 episodes, ran from 1995 to 2000. Wow. Here's some artwork.
It was on CBS.
And The Mask was on there too, it seems.
Yeah, The Mask had, like, Jim Carrey, and I saw some guy said it was only targeted at 80s and 90s kids. They're updating it, and I mean, to some degree, yes, but they're updating it to a Sonic that doesn't currently exist in the world, and I don't think anyone necessarily...
It was Michael Dangerfield that was the voice actor.
Who the hell is that? Is he related to Rodney?
That's what I'm wondering. I don't know. Probably not. It's from Toronto.
He's a Canadian. He's Canadian, yeah.
There you go. There's your Ace Ventura history for the
I knew there was a fucking Ace Ventura cartoon. No, he's not related to Rodney.
Let's do
He also was in The Mask.
Who?
Dangerfield.
Was he?
He was in the cartoon for The Mask. Don't tell me he did the voice.
Well, he probably did the voice.
No, he didn't. Rob Paulson did the voice.
And he did the Transformers anime. Well, he was in it. He didn't do them.
I don't want to watch.
Inuyasha as well.
Tim Curry was in that? Oh, I think it was just a one-off episode.
Probably.
Weird.
List of voice performance. Oh, he did dubbing performances.
Yeah, and it is okay. And that was something I'll have to take an L on. It's supposed to be how Sonic became a thing, which, in my opinion, they did a horrible job of conveying that to me, because I obviously never picked up on it. And so that's why you get the progression into Robotnik. But he's still not fat.
Yeah.
I feel like he needs to be fat.
I'm okay with him not being fat. I'm happy that they make him bald and with a mustache.
Because if he's not fat, how did he become fat in Sonic the Hedgehog 1?
But are they trying to tie it to that? Is that what they're doing? It's like
it's supposed to be it's the origin of Sonic.
Oh, that's garbage.
And
Sonic,
See,
Sonic isn't on Earth.
You didn't know that either.
No, Sonic isn't from Earth. Sonic and Robotnik, I refuse to call him Dr. Eggman. They're from Mobius. They're not even on Earth, so this film is completely off. And his like quills now like spark or something.
He better become Fat Avedon. Damn it.
He might.
Yeah.
He might eat a lot of eggs.
So that's why all the stuff in the movie, OJ was explaining this to me last night because I completely missed this. Obviously, he's been following it pretty diligently. Yeah, it all happens before Sonic 1. It's the Genesis, the beginning of Sonic. So you're not going to have, Tails. You're not going to have
the trilogy.
Like, it's just
the third.
And I guess
it's going to have so much garbage characters.
It could technically be a reboot of Sword. I don't know. It's just, I don't know.
I saw it as its own like cinematic universe entry. Nothing else. All right, we got 5 minutes. Let's see. What are your questions? What are your topics? Anything that happened last week you want to hear about? Any thoughts outside of Sonic? What are your thoughts on Sonic? What are your thoughts on, what else do we talk about? Talk about Fortnite, Earthworm Jim, Amico stuff, arcades. It's always hard to come up with a title for these podcasts because I never know what we're really going to talk about. So I always put in these headlines and they're never very accurate. I bet you the hashtag's wrong too. What did I put for the hashtag? Oh, okay. I was safe. Gaming podcast, video game podcast. Yeah, you want to talk about Endgame? I bet you Sean has not seen Endgame. Have you even seen Infinity War, sir?
I watched that Iron Man movie once.
Oh my God. All right, we're not talking about Endgame otherwise. I assume if you've wanted to watch it and avoid spoilers, you've seen it by now, but it's still, I won't be that guy. Are you guys good at organizing your house? Well, Sean has his grandmother live next door pretty much.
She mopped my floors on Thursday.
Do you scrub your toilets, sir?
She scrubbed the toilet on Thursday.
You know what I was doing a few days ago? I was down on my knees in a toilet bowl, scraping away all of the salt residue on my toilet bowls.
That is a very good question, Squirrel Emperor. Because I remember that, and they wanted. I knew people who were inquiring about those Interplay licenses, and they wanted a ridiculous amount of money, and they only wanted to sell them in groups. Mm-hmm. They would not sell individual IPs. So maybe Tallarico finessed one of the licenses, or now he has all of those licenses. I don't know.
Any thoughts on Forza rumor for Switch? What could happen?
It makes sense. It's obviously an iOS game. It's not a full-on Forza experience, but I think the significance is in the fact that a Forza game is going to be on the Switch more than likely, in name. And, names can be it shows this budding relationship between Microsoft and Nintendo.
Okay. Siggy Sour, good suggestion. Everybody should try Elder Scrolls Blades and talk about it next week. I like that suggestion. If we can get one game recommendation that's free every week or every month for everyone to try.
Is it out on... Well, it's supposed to be coming out on consoles, too. That's what I've been waiting for, because I hate phone games.
I know. I think that's kind of the point, though. If Siggy likes a phone game, maybe it's worth checking out. What is Elder Scrolls Blades?
It's an Elder Scrolls game.
You don't say.
That's for mobile.
That's
essentially.
That's with blades. That has blades. I'll check it out if I have time. I'll try to make time for it. Ripping on my iPad. It's been fun so far. Fighting is actually not bad. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out. What else do we have? Did it just come out recently or something? Do you think we'll get a video game cinematic universe? I think it would be really cool. Speaking of cinematic universe and gaming universe, I want to kind of flex. So it's not so much flex, but I really love this. Have you played Spider-Man on PS4? Yeah, you did. Yeah, yes. You loved it.
Yeah.
So did you know they now have the comic book of Spider-Man? It's based in the same universe as the video game. And Marvel started.
That's why That's why I never got into comic books.
Why is that?
Because there's too many fucking universes with these goddamn characters.
Yeah, but you read the universe you want. You're like, oh, I hate what's going on in this universe, or You know,
That's
if
weird.
you're like,
It
oh,
should
I
be-
don't like this gender hero.
I-
go in the
I
universe you care
I
for.
never could get down with shit like that. Like, it's too confusing. It's too I couldn't handle the two Sonic the Hedgehog cartoons.
Well-
you had the one Sonic cartoon that had the cool intro, and then you had the other Sonic cartoon where the motherfucker was obsessed with chili dogs.
He liked chili dogs in both.
He was obsessed with chili dogs in the one cartoon.
The one with Uncle Chuck who sold chili dogs, or the other one?
Yeah, that one.
The
other one was supposed to be like more grittier.
The gritty one is the one with Uncle Chuck, and he has a chili dog stand, and he's a robot.
Well, then
'cause he got roboticized.
that's not. The other one was where he was obsessed with chili dogs.
He loved chili dogs in both of them.
But he loved them more in the other one.
I mean, maybe. Can you really love one more than the other?
Yes.
With Scratch and Grounder, that one, right?
Yes.
The chicken and the green guy.
Yes.
I mean, that was a more shallow show. Maybe that's why the chili dog stood out more for you there.
But some people like that one better than the other one. It was what?
I like both.
The Adventures. Yeah, the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog.
And then there was Sonic Says at the end.
Yeah.
Someone wants to touch you. That's no good.
Jesus Christ. Which one had Jaleel White as the...
He did both, actually. He voiced
Did he
both.
really?
Yeah.
That motherfucker got
Oh, he
paid.
did. He was popular. You know, you had Urkel going, the Sonics.
Okay, so the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog is the one where he was obsessed with chili dogs.
I mean, he was obsessed
With the Sonic Says stuff.
Yeah. That's the one
And
you're
then
referring to.
the other one was the grittier one.
The other one is referred to as Sonic Sat AM, for lack of a better name.
Yes. Okay.
And that's the
Okay.
one the
Now we're
comic book is
we're on the same page.
Yeah. But you like chili
All right,
dog.
cool.
RGT would read a Power Rangers comic. I actually have a Power Rangers comic, and RGT should read a Power Rangers. He should read any comic book for that matter. But it is 9 p.m., so that means it's Game of Thrones time, so we have to come to an end of this podcast. What is up in your life this week, RGT?
Sonic Spinball was based on Sonic Saturday AM.
No, it wasn't, because there was Scratch in there. Scratch, I think, was in that one.
Well, Wikipedia's lying then.
I don't know. What are you doing this week?
I have no fucking idea. We duel at some
Wii
point.
U? You're playing with your Wii U?
No, we duel. A HDMI modified Wii that I got sent.
All right.
Check out.
I have to work on the mega indie corner with literally 100 games because I dared
It's
to
set
pick
in
a
the
character.
universe of the animated series, it says.
Yeah, that's probably the Scratch and Grounder one.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, guys. We'll see. Yeah, Game of Thrones is almost over. 3 more episodes and the whole thing's done. It's actually getting pretty shitty, honestly. I'm not as captivated with the episodes as I used to be. We'll see you guys next week. Until then, keep it classy, or as Sean would say. Whoops.
Keep it classy.
Do you ever say that to people in real life?
No, I don't really talk to people in real life.
I hear you. Why you didn't complain about peeing this time?
Peeing?
Peeing. Yeah, do pee-pee.
Oh, I have to pee.
Did you drink enough water today?
I don't know.
Concerned
I guess
for
not.
yourself. Just pee, man.
I mean, I peed before the
Make
show.
sure your piss is clear by the end of the day.
It already is.